Our next speaker is Mr. Savitra Panda. He is one of the Indian leading voices in data and artificial intelligence, bringing over 18 years of deep industry experience across strategy, innovation, and enterprising scale transformation. An alumni of NIT Rourkela and IIM Indore, he combines a strong technical foundation with elite management insight and edge that defines his approach to building intelligent, future-ready organizations. His work is widely recognized for simplifying complex technologies, enabling large-scale upskilling, and helping institutions unlock real business value from data. With a rare blend of expertise, credibility, and hands-on leadership, Savitra continues to shape India's AI ecosystem, empowering professionals, enterprise, and government bodies to navigate the next wave of digital transformation. Mr. Savitri Panda, please kindly take up the dais. A loud round of applause, please, for Mr. Savitra Panda.
Warm good morning to everyone. Am I audible? Yeah. So I might be the odd one out, not from the media industry per se, but at least from an industry which has kind of touched every aspect and is all pervasive, right? Artificial intelligence, right? When I started off my career in 2007, may not be more than 100 people in India would have actually known what is AI. It wasn't all pervasive back then. Things were pretty different. We still used to have those dongles for using internet. And I'm talking about my days, right? When I was pretty young, now I am not. 2016 September has been a landmark month in the history of India. Why? Things were geofied, if I could use the right term, right? The cost of data actually shifted from somewhere to close to 250 rupees per GB to around 10 rupees per GB. And that kind of changed everything. And why is that important? Because it is very contextual, right? These days, we do not simply report news. We are recommended news. We do not simply consume media. It is kind of architected in a way that it is coming to us through AI, right? So what has changed and why is it really important? And how we are one of those gatekeepers. Now, if I ask you honestly, most of us would agree that we forward news without reading, at least on WhatsApp, right? We do not check the credibility of multiple things. Is that where we can maybe shape up to be a gatekeeper, right? And why am I bringing, there are two things that were very pivotal, right? One was, if I use the right term, the geofication of data and the WhatsApp University, if I use it's a pretty popular term, right? There were a lot of surveys done as to which are the platforms where we have the most trust. It started off with Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and multiple other platforms. And it was seen that WhatsApp is the platform where we showed maximum faith. Why? Because it's one platform where we actually get news from the people we are connected to, maybe friends, family, and we tend to associate a certain degree of trust to that, no matter what is the veracity of what has been forwarded to us, right? Why is AI a boon or a bane in this aspect? Now, you'd realize that, I mean, when we were growing up, we maybe had one news channel, maybe like Doordarshan. Some people had cable, but yeah, I'm talking about myself. We actually, everyone consumed news at the same time, and it was the same news that everybody consumed, more or less. Now we have 700 plus platforms, which can give us a different news or a same news with a very different narrative. And the keyword here is narrative, right? Because that keeps on changing. Right? You wouldn't be surprised to know that I can tailor my political narrative to a certain section of a constituency itself. And that is what AI has enabled me to do. right? Misinformation, disinformation, everything has come up more so in the age of AI. I can talk about maybe mostly in the last 10 years, right? So what are the ill effects of that? Okay, I had a presentation, but it's fine. I'll manage without that. There is it. Okay. So one thing we must understand is, I mean, we may not, I think most of us still do not depend on newspapers or maybe like radios for our news consumption. At least the Gen Z, I mean, maybe the previous generation, all of us are kind of hooked to those platforms. And the platforms have one single incentive, engagement, right? They want to monetize, right? So their goal is never truth. Their goal is engagement and monetization, right? And that is where you would be, and you would have observed that certain people get certain news. Certain news are trending and not all the news are trending. When I swipe, maybe the news feed changes, right? And everything is because they are trying to predict an engagement. Now you would be thinking, okay, there was already AI which was maybe causing some issue. Now there is generative AI since the last 2.5 years, right? And being someone from the industry, I do understand how things can kind of get twisted. We all talk about generative AI, and most of these deep fakes, as you could call, maybe voice cloning, everything is an outcome of generative AI, right? And can we trust generative AI? The answer is no. Why? All of us would have heard about a term called hallucination, right, in generative AI, and that is where things are made up. Now, generative AI can make up news. It can make up Supreme Court judgments, which will appear as if it is pretty realistic. It's just that it is fabricated, right? So, people shouldn't think of generative AI as an AI tool that will give you true information. It is, by default, nothing but a probability model. It just predicts what is the most probable next word. And in that context, you can never be sure, because when it comes to generative AI, the AI itself is not sure whether whatever it is saying is true or not. It is not supposed to validate. It's supposed to predict the next word, that's all. I'm kind of simplifying generative AI for everyone. Now in that context, what is the role, what is the trust and the twist, right? So I can see that the twist majorly is of three types. One is that hallucination that I just spoke about. The other is AI bouncers. Now what is AI bouncers? No matter how good your content is, if your content is in a language called, like, maybe it is Marathi or Oriya or Bengali, and that is not in the training data set of the AI model, then you will be kind of kicked out. You will not even, you will be eliminated from the news feed, right? And that is called AI bouncers. That's happening because it's a very big problem, right? It's like you go to a club and the guard at the door decides that whether you should be allowed in the club or not, who are the VIP people and who are not, right? Next, again, the menace of deepfake and like fake news, right? Now, I think something really nice happened last week, and this is there. So X, or Twitter, as they call it, is one of the most common platform for news consumption. And they have started a very new feature called, they will tag the country of the profile. And why is that important in the current context? So we all would have seen that there are many names which supposedly appear Indian, but are actually accounts operated from our neighboring countries, kind of dishing out a narrative against our country, right? And now with this tagging coming in, it actually establishes a sort of veracity, right? Now, not only that, there are measures which we can take as maybe journalists, as media personals, and even maybe AI people to kind of make sure that trust is built, right? So maybe I'll take a few more examples and a couple of instances. So there's something called C2PA. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about this. Now let's take an example. There's a media content that is generated from a source, it is edited multiple times, and then it reaches you. Right now you do not have a knowledge of couple of things. Where did it originate? Who all modified? And is the modification realistic? Imagine that you consume your food the same way. They just give you a packet without any nutrition level, labeling of any nutrition. Would you be very convinced to consume that? The answer is no. So could we have something very similar, which will be like a nutrition label for food? We'll have something called a nutrition label for content, digital content that is generated, right? And they do have that. That is called C2PA. It's a open source. I'll spell out the name. It's pretty complex. I keep on forgetting. So it's an open source. Yeah, it's called Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. Right? It's a consortium of a lot of big players like BBC, Microsoft, OpenAI, and what they do is, for every digital artifact they will have a country of origin and all the edits that has happened before it has reached you. So when you kind of open that, you know that these are the things that it has undergone, right? We may think of having something similar for our Indian stack. Maybe we could have something called Praman stack, right, for Indian, which it talks about credibility and proof. So now the question is, should we be looking for trust? Or should we be looking for trustworthiness? Now, what is the difference? Trust is an emotion. Trustworthiness is a process. It's a process which is more objective. So what, in my opinion, we should be doing is we should be looking at the trustworthiness and not just trust. And C2PA, I think globally it's a standard, open standard. It's one of the ways they have tried to reinforce that into our digital content. So maybe the last thing that I would say, what would be my call to action for my fellow media people? There is something that AI cannot replicate. It is the human authenticity. It's the 20 plus years of media experience that you have as human being that cannot be replicated by AI, right? So why can't we establish that? And again, it is fair to say that we have multiple media houses. Some are owned by certain companies. Yeah, there's always a question of whether it is independent. There are certain, I think people do have a certain view. Some are rightist, some are leftist, some are centrist. So the narrative does keep on changing. So the next piece of thought for maybe for all of us is, how do we bring in that human authenticity to at least the like whatever media content we have? Because when we are fighting with AI, it is a lost battle because AI can generate infinite content. So what we should fight for is the finite aspect, which is totally human controlled, right? Could we have a group, or could we have groups where people pay for authentic content, which is human generated rather than maybe AI generated news? So with that, I think I'll come to my conclusion. Thank you.